Hey everybody, I'm Pastor Michael, and welcome back to SGT Discovery Kids, where we discover every week what God's teaching us in His Word. Now, I missed all of you last week, but I had some exciting news because I was at home and my wife had a baby. That's right, I'm a father to a beautiful little girl, and her name is Serene Angelique Sinclair, and maybe one day you'll get to meet her, and we're excited to introduce you to her. Last week, Mr. Iden stepped in and he taught about how God warned the Edomites that they were going to be punished for not showing love to the Israelites when they were attacked by Babylon. This week, we're going to learn that God kept his promise to the Israelites that they would return one day back to the land of Judah. Now, if you remember, the Babylonians conquered Judah and brought them away as slaves to Babylon. And while they were there, they held on to the promise that God gave to Jeremiah that one day they would return. Well, while they were in Babylon, Babylon was attacked by another country, the Persians, and Cyrus, the leader of the Persians, conquered Babylon and was told by God to let the Jews go back to Judah and rebuild the temple so that they could worship him. So Cyrus told the Jews to go back to Jerusalem and rebuild the temple. And they were led by a priest named Zerubbabel. This first group that came back to Judah was going to make sure that everything was set up for all of God's people to return again. But the one thing that they really wanted to do was rebuild the temple in Jerusalem. They wanted to offer sacrifices again and begin to celebrate all the festivals that God had given them as a people so that they could honor him and worship him in the city of the Lord, Jerusalem. And so Zerubbabel helped the people begin to do this work. And eventually they rebuilt the temple. And all the people who were born, remember, they were in Babylon for 70 years. So a lot of these people were born in Babylon and came back to help build the temple. When they saw the temple, they rejoiced because they were so excited that there was a temple again in the city of God. But there were some really old people who came back to Judah with the people who returned. And they remembered seeing the first temple as little children. And when they saw the second temple, they realized it was not as beautiful as the first. And they remembered that it was because of their sin that they were sent away, and God's first temple was destroyed. So while the young people rejoiced that there was a temple again, the older people cried, remembering of how beautiful it used to be, and that their sin took them away. Now, even though they were sad, the story is still very exciting because God kept his promise to bring the people back to Jerusalem so that he could build up his people again and they could honor him and worship his name. Now, we're going to learn some more about this now in the verse of the week with Mr. Iden. Mr. Iden, let's go to you.
Hey everyone, it's Mr. Iden, and welcome back to the verse of the week. We just learned from Pastor Michael about how the new king that conquered Babylon, Cyrus, let the Jews return to the land of Judah. When they got back to Judah, they started to rebuild the temple. We learn more about this in Ezra chapter 1, verse 5. Here's what it says. Then the family heads of Judah and Benjamin, and the priests and Levites, everyone whose heart God had moved, prepared to go up and build the house of the Lord in Jerusalem. Great. Now say it with me. Then the family heads of Judah and Benjamin, and the priests and Levites, everyone whose heart God had moved, prepared to go up and build the house of the Lord in Jerusalem. Now, remember how we learned about how God told the prophet Jeremiah that the people of Israel would be in exile for 70 years? Well, we see that 70 years later, just as God had said, God took the Israelites out of Babylon and brought them back to their land. Isn't God's faithfulness so amazing? And just how God was faithful to the Israelites, he's faithful to us too, and he always does what he promises. I love you guys. Thanks for joining me for the verse of the week, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks, Mr. Iden. We always love learning about the verse of the week. And now it's time to learn about the animal of the week. Miss Laurel, let's go to you.
Miss Laurel! I don't think she's here.
What? Miss Laurel's not there? Well, who's going to do it?
I guess I could do it.
Okay, Mr. Iden. Then let's go to you.
How do I get set up? Hey everyone, it's Mr. Iden, and welcome back to the Animal of the Week. This week's animal is found in flocks all over Long Island. You may even see them grouped together on your favorite soccer or baseball field. Do you know what it is? That's right, it's the Canada goose. Canada geese are sometimes mistakenly called Canadian geese, but they're not all Canadian. Some of them live right here in New York. They were almost driven to extinction in the 1900s, but through good conservation work, they are thriving again. Canada geese are large flying birds that weigh up to 14 pounds and can have a wingspan of up to 5 feet. Canada geese migrate over long distances by flying in large V-shaped formations to help each other fly. They can migrate for up to 3,000 miles to find the best spot to winter. They also migrate over the same flight patterns every year. So you may see the same goose on your favorite playing field year after year. Just like the Canada geese return home year after year, God's people were finally allowed to return to Jerusalem to rebuild the temple and worship Him again. Thanks for joining me for this Animal of the Week. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.
All right, guys, I hope you take some time with your families to discuss how God was always faithful, and He knew that He would bring the people of Israel back to the land of Judah so that they could be His people in the land that He promised them again. They had to be punished because of their sin, but even in the punishment, God was faithful. Take some time to think about that as a family, and thank the Lord for His faithfulness in the life of the people of Israel and in your life as a family. We love you guys. We'll see you next week. And remember, be blessed and be a blessing.